Just gently pressing the breath out and inhale. Slowly filling out the places that don't always get filled. And exhale. And aligning your body to your breath. So there's a fullness, base of pelvis, bowl of pelvis, back of waist, sides, front, back of rib cage, sides, under shoulder, armpit area, front of rib cage, throat, face, head. Right, that each part relates to the other parts and affects the breath. Right, if the jaw is tight, how does that affect the breath? Or if our weight is too far forward or too far back. And maybe even just playing with simple movements. Simple, slow movements that invite the breath in. Right, maybe a slow churning of the rib cage. Little tiny circle to the right, slightly forward, left, and back. Little, and again, the movement isn't as important as how the breath responds to the movement. The relationship between the movement and the breath. Right, sometimes we move and hold the breath, or we move and invite the breath later. How do we almost initiate the movement from the breath? Maybe change direction, just to feel the difference. Maybe the shoulders respond by moving, elbows respond, head responds. And then make the movement smaller, but maintain the breath. Maintain that gentle, almost inner dance with the breath. And then finding neutral. Keeping that same sense of quality of play, lightness, curiosity. And just notice your experience in your body. Is there a little more awake or alive with the breath, just from that little movement? And bringing the palms together in front of the heart. And let's begin with one Om. Om. Okay. Good morning, Miss P. Okay, so I'm going to take one block. We did this last week. So it is always a little challenge to find the right placement, but I'm going to tip my block. So I'm on one edge of my block, and I'm going to lean my body back against the block. And it just has to be at the right angle so that the block isn't sliding. And I'm propped up in a part of the spine. Actually, I'm on kind of lower back, top of sacrum area. And I'm in a little bit of a C curve, just a little bit of a flexion. Good, feet flat on the floor. And I'm just gonna bring hands in front of me to start, just to feel that, and try to lean back into the block. And then play with the breath. So as I inhale, the thought is that the base of the pelvis gets very wide. And that as I exhale, the sitting bones almost move towards each other, right to left. And the tissue between these two sitting bones draws up into the bowl of the pelvis. And as I inhale, the sitting bones get wide. There's a sense of width across the back of the pelvis and outer hips. And then as I exhale, the perineum just gently lifts, and sometimes less is more, right? It allows you to move more tissue when there's less force, less strong reaction. Okay, just gonna adjust my block for a moment here. Now, I'm going to bring my hands behind my head, interlace my fingers, right? It just adds a little bit of challenge. And if that's too much, keep the arms forward. Good, and just turns on the support muscles a little bit more. Again, keeping a slight round shape. Inhale, again, letting the base of the pelvis get wide. And exhale, just lifting that perineum ever so slightly up. Letting that also engage the lower belly. Inhale, widen. Exhale, lifting perineum, lower belly engages. One more. Widen on the inhale. And lift, gently lift so you can keep engaging. And then release the arms and come to sit. Right, meaning that if you engage slowly enough, there's more access to more tissues, and there's an engagement that can move up through the pelvis, through the kind of front line of the body, all the way up. Okay, so block to the side. Let's lay on our backs. And just feeling the back of the pelvis on the floor, ribs, head. So I'm going to start with my arms alongside the body, or you can even take the arms straight out to the side. I'm going to start with palms down just because it's different. Right? It has a different access in the shoulder, different, right? If I turn the palm up, that's one relationship. It allows the shoulder blade to really lay back, so the arm's externally rotated. But if I internally rotate the arm, palm down, and try to keep the shoulder blade down, just has an interesting opening in that shoulder cap muscle. Okay, so right knee comes up towards the ceiling. And I'm just gonna take the right knee and draw a little circle on the ceiling with the point of the knee. Good, it doesn't have to be the biggest circle. You can play with the diameter of the circle, right? So increasing that circumference. Notice the response of the whole body, and maybe that left leg tries to stay still, right? That the pelvis doesn't just rock around, change direction. So one thing to notice, if you get a lot of clicking in your hip, change the shape of the circle, make it smaller until you feel a smoothness to the movement. Again, we're trying to inform the body or inform the nervous system that this movement is okay. Good. And then lastly, let's take the arms up to the ceiling and continue the circle. Just noticing the difference with the arms up, keeping the breath moving. And then right foot flat on the floor, arms down. Just notice the hip, leg, thigh, body. Good, other leg, left knee up, circle, one direction. Again, making it smooth, and each hip will be different. The axis will be different. And you might want to play with finding the fullness, right? A fuller circle that still feels smooth, or you can stay with smaller circle and focus on the, again, not gripping the rest of the body, but allowing the rest of the body to find stability. Let's change direction. And let's take the arms up. If it's hard to find balance, you can keep the arms down. This is just a little more challenging. And again, if there's clicking, make the circle smaller until there's no clicking. Good, and then left foot on the floor, arms down, and notice. Okay, so straightening that left leg, right knee comes up to the ceiling, little circle. And with the right leg, arms either out to the side or alongside the body. Again, noticing how the body has to work to maintain focus while the right leg is moving. Change direction with the circle. You can point the foot, you can flex. It just does different things, different engagements. Arms up. Again, the cadence or the rhythm that you find isn't necessarily important, right? You can play. You can go a little more quickly, you can go more slowly. They just have different qualities and both feel important. And then right foot on the floor, arm down for a moment, bend that left knee. And then other side, straighten that right leg, left knee up to the ceiling, circle. Noticing the breath. Noticing the range of motion. Smoothness, let's take the arm up, both arms up, straight up towards the ceiling. They can be soft. And then change direction. Again, looking for this movement, not just in the movement, but in the body as it supports the movement of the leg. Good. Left foot on the floor, both knees bent, arms alongside the body. Notice left hip, notice right hip. Okay, left knee stays bent. Let's straighten that right leg to the ceiling. Point, flex, point, flex. Big circle at the ankle to start. And change direction. We're talking about muscles that cross the joint. Might be Achilles crosses the joint, attaches to the calcaneus, the heel bone. And then all those big gastrocnemius soleus attached to the Achilles tendon. and then attach to the lower leg bones and even up, right up onto the femur bone, the gastroc. Okay, so circle. So calf muscles tight, knee is tight. Again, pointing or flexing, arms out to the side if you'd like, or alongside. Again, smooth it out. And change direction. Again, changing the shape, and maybe it's not even a circle if there's clicking. Maybe it's an odd shape. Arms up to the ceiling. Then feeling the steadiness in the body without being rigid. Good, right foot on the floor. Arms out to the side. Notice the right hip, leg, lower back, belly, foot. Okay, left foot up to the ceiling, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, circle. Change direction. Good, and even bend, right? Point the toes, bend the leg. Right, so we're asking the front of the knee to have some length, and then flex the foot, reach up through the heel. Now we're asking the back of the leg, back of the knee. Again, remembering quads cross the front of the knee joint, hamstrings cross the back. And then circle. Again, if you tend to go fast, slow down. Right, if your mind tends to be busy, slow down. Connect to the movement, connect the breath to the movement. Arms to the ceiling, change direction. Connect to the movement. Feel what's happening in the pelvis, at the hip joint, rest of the body. And again, can you initiate from the breath rather than move and let the breath catch up maybe? And then lift, foot on the floor, arms down. Okay, so right leg up to the ceiling, this time straighten the left leg as well. Arms where they are on the floor, little circle. Slowly getting bigger. And again, slow it down. It's pretty easy to just throw the leg around sometimes. Just slow it down enough to relate. Breath. To the movement. Where does the exhale and the inhale fit in? Change direction. Arms up to the ceiling. If it's uncomfortable and you're just trying to get through it, again, pull your awareness into different parts. The movement of the leg on the floor, the arms, the jaw. Good. Bend your right knee, right foot on the floor, both arms down, both knees bent. Left leg straightens up to the ceiling, right leg straightens along the floor. Circle, one direction. Again, relating the breath. Good. clicking, make it smaller or a different shape going around the clicking. Arms up, change direction. Notice the leg that's on the floor, the shoulder blades, back of the pelvis, and left foot on the floor, both knees bent. Okay, and then let's roll. Roll onto your side. Okay, so right hip in line with the right ribs, knees bent, knees perpendicular, thighs perpendicular to your spine. Okay, so keeping the toes together, I'm just going to take that left knee up and down. So I'm watching the pelvis turns a little bit towards the ceiling as I do that. So I'm going to try to keep the pelvis where it is and just lift the thigh. And lower, and lift, and lower, and lift. One more, lower, and lift. Okay, so knees together. This time I'm going to lift the left leg off of the right leg, straight up towards the ceiling. And then externally rotate. So the knee comes towards the ceiling without turning the hip. And let's take that left arm up to the ceiling. And keep trying to move the knees almost away from each other. So press that right knee or outer leg into the floor to let that left knee come up, left thigh, outer leg come up. And then top of the femur is facing my side body, and I'm going to turn the femur to face the front of the room. Same direction as my pubis. Good. And then I'm going to bring that leg back. So the thigh comes behind the hip. See if I can do it. Sacrum moving forward a little bit and ribs staying neutral. Lower the leg down as if reaching the toes back, back, back and down to the floor. And then come back up. Externally rotate, knee towards the ceiling, front face of the shin towards the ceiling. And then legs together. One more time, left leg up, straight up. Ideally, pelvis doesn't move. Internally rotate that left leg, front of the thigh turned forward, maybe even towards that right leg. And then taking that left knee back or top leg back as the sacrum moves forward, just to counter. The ribs stay neutral. The leg comes closer to the floor, and then up and externally rotate and legs together. Good, let's do one with the legs straight. So either left hand on the floor or left arm up to the ceiling, left leg straight out in front of you, and then up towards the ceiling. Internally rotate that leg, turn the kneecap towards the front of the room, and then start to bring the leg back. Keep turning the kneecap down as you come back. And then again, as the thigh starts to come behind, let the sacrum move forward a little bit without letting the ribs push forward. Keep that internal rotation, bring the leg up. Start to externally rotate, take it all the way up, forward, and bend. Forward. Externally rotate, hip stays neutral if you can. Press that right leg into the floor to take the left leg up. Good, internally rotate that thigh, turn the kneecap towards the front of the room, and then start to bring it back. Back, behind, down. Maybe left arm comes forward as a counterweight. Ribs stay neutral. Pelvis stays neutral, and then bring that left leg back up, still internally rotated. externally rotated, swing it up, forward, and legs together. Other side, other side. Okay, thighs perpendicular to the spine. Good, right leg. Actually, toes stay together. And lift the knee. Again, without moving the pelvis, it's easy to turn the pelvis to feel that you have more range of motion. And then again, without moving the pubic bone. And again, and lower, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. Okay, right leg off the left leg, fully off. Foot up to thighs facing towards my body mostly. And then I'm going to internally rotate, turn the face of the thigh, top face of the thigh towards you. And then start to bring the thigh back. Again, sacrum moves forward as the thigh moves back. Ribs stay neutral, meaning front lower ribs knit towards the pubis. And then the lower leg, where the right leg moves down towards the floor. Top leg. And then up, still internally rotating. And then externally rotating. And legs together. And lift, bent knee. Again, pubis stays where it is, meaning pelvis stays where it is. Internally rotate that femur at the hip joint. Front of the thigh faces forward. And then take the thigh back. Behind the hip. Opening the front of the hip. And lower as you take it back. And lift, keep it internally rotated. Bring it forward. Externally rotate, lift the knee. Legs together. Oh, we forgot to take that right arm up. That's okay. So either right hand on the floor or up. Extend that right leg forward. Darn, we missed it. And take that right leg up. Internally rotate. Turn that thigh forward and then start to bring it back slowly. Feel how the left leg is working to support front body. Ribs to pubis, sacrum forward, leg comes down. Keep it internally rotating, bring it back up. And then forward, then externally rotate. Then all the way forward to the front of the room, knee bends. Take a moment, rub your leg, right arm up. Extend the leg, externally rotate as you bring it up. Internally rotate it while it's up. Start to lower it back and down, behind the hip, towards the floor. Good, and then lift. Notice what the ribs are doing. Keep lifting. Bring it forward a little so you can externally rotate it. Take it towards the ceiling. And then bring it all the way forward to the front of the room. And bend. Good. And come up. Okay, up on hands and knees. Good, turn the toes under and just push the weight back onto the feet. Good, push into the feet, shift the weight forward. Good, past the hands, so you're stretching the palms of the hands, forearms. Push back onto the feet, stretching the toes, push forward, past the hands, stretching the forearm. Okay, let's turn the hands so the fingers are facing out just a little side to side. Good, and turn the fingers back towards the knees. Just a little front to back. Maybe a little circle around. change direction. Good, fingers face forward, squeeze the shoulder blades together, spread them apart, squeeze, spread, squeeze them in, slide them in. Notice how they move. Notice how the right one moves. Notice how the left one moves. Spread the shoulder blades apart, squeeze them together again, spread them apart. One more, squeeze and spread. Okay, good. So knees wide, toes together, child's pose just for a moment. Lifting the palm of the hand up. So you're on your fingertips, finger pads or fingertips. So the forearm's lifting up towards the ceiling, upper arm. Just a different engagement in the upper back. Breathing into those back ribs, side ribs. And then bringing the palms down and shifting onto hands and knees. And I'm going to keep my knees wide for a moment. Left knee comes to the right knee. So I'm keeping that right knee on the right side of the mat. My toes now are on the left side of the mat. And I'm going to pull my hips back towards the back of the mat. So my right buttocks does come towards my heel, but almost slightly off the heel, almost towards the floor. A little bit of a side bend. Right, left ribs coming close to that left hip. And the right ribs are definitely drawing away from that left hip. Right hip that's moving back. And shift forward onto hands and knees in this kind of sideways tabletop position. And then coming back. And then up onto hands and knees. So I'm going to extend that right leg back towards the back left corner of my mat. And externally rotate that leg. So I'm turning the thigh and the kneecap out towards the right side of the room. And I'm going to turn both thighs away from each other, right? Just to turn the pelvis to the right side of the room. Maybe bend that right leg so the right and left leg match. It's almost like I'm in a frog pose in the air, pulling the knees away from each other. As I reach that right hip back behind the hip, or right leg back behind the hip towards the floor. And then re-extend the leg. And then internally rotate that thigh. Turn the top of the thigh towards the floor. And then keeping that knee, thigh turned towards the floor, I'm going to take that leg out to the side, straight out to the right side, straight out to the side of the right hip, and then maybe even more forward. Bend the knee, right foot alongside the right hand. Left hand stays on the floor, right arm up to the ceiling. Reach up, look up. Even take that right arm further back, look up. Good, right hand to the floor. And letting my right foot roll. Right, so I'm rolling onto the outer edge of that right foot. And maybe walk that right hand forward just for a brief moment. Lean forward, fold over the pelvis. Right hand comes back, right foot flat on the floor. Press the hands down. I'm going to pick that right foot up and extend the right leg again, straight out to the hip. A little bit of a side hand bend here. The right ribs are pulling to the right hip to the right shoulder. And then slowly internally rotate. Bring that leg straight back to the wall behind you. Again, back towards that left corner. Let it externally rotate. Turn the pelvis to the right. Bring the knees together. Sit back, child's pose. One more time, shift forward, extend the right leg back, let it externally rotate, let the pubis turn to the right, the whole pelvis turn to the right, bend the right knee, Let the pubis move forward. Let the back of the pelvis move forward as the right thigh moves back. As if you could touch the floor. And then extend, internally rotate that leg. Slide it all the way around. Trace it around the room to the outside of the right hip. Right hip now pulls towards the right shoulder. Bend the knee, right foot on the floor. Right arm up to the ceiling. Right hand down. Press the hands down, pick the foot up, reach the foot to the side wall, back to the back wall. Again, externally rotate the right thigh, turning the pelvis to the right, and then bring knees together. Pull the hips back. Come forward, take the left knee to the left side of the mat. Come back through center. Shift forward, take that right knee to the left knee. So now the knees are on the left side of the mat, feet on the right side of the mat. Pull the hips back. So left hip drawing back away from that left hand as the right ribs draw towards the right hip. Shift forward onto hands and knees. Left leg extends back towards the right side of the mat. Externally rotate the leg. Let the pelvis follow. Bend that left leg. Knees wide. Almost like Baddha Konasana or frog. Left thigh pulling back as the sacrum moves forward. And then extend, and then internally rotate the thigh. Pelvis follows a little. And swing that left leg out towards the left side of the room. Slightly forward, pulling the hip towards the shoulder. Bend the leg, step the foot outside of the hand. Left arm up to the ceiling, turn and look up. Good, left hand down. And just maybe for a moment, roll to the outer edge of that left foot. Walk that left hand forward. Bend the right arm, just lean forward. And left hand back under the shoulder, left foot flat on the floor. Good, pick the foot up, extend that left leg towards the left side of the room. And sweep it around. Again, internally rotate as you sweep. And then externally rotate. And then bring knees together. Pull the hips back. Shift forward. Actually feels really good though. Little side body. Those side bodies get so tight. Okay, shift forward. Left leg extends back. And even here, maybe keep the pelvis neutral and internally rotate the thigh, externally rotate, internally rotate, externally rotate. So you feel the movement. You feel the axis that you have in this position. And then externally rotate, bend the knee, reach that left leg back, sacrum forward. Then re-extend, internally rotate, pelvis can neutralize. Swing that leg around to the side wall, pulling left hip towards the shoulder, left foot next to the left hand. Now left arm lifts to the ceiling. Left hand down, pick up that left leg, swing it out, lift it up. Trace it all the way back to the right side of the mat. Again, internally rotate so you feel the difference. Externally rotate, knees together, hips back. Good, comes up to all fours. Bring your right knee to the right side, back to child's pose. Again, lift the palms. Still crawling the fingers forward as the hips crawl back. And then up onto hands and knees and just downward dog, simple downward dog. Feeling the length through the sides of the body. Feeling the weight, inner feet and outer feet. Right, even though the back of the foot is off the floor, just that sense of standing through the feet. Good, walk the feet forward. Good, bend your knees. And round yourself up to stand. Just standing on your, a little more weight on your left foot. And I'm just gonna roll around. So across big toe, top of big toe, all the other toes. Just making a squishing, doing a little circular squish on the tops of the feet into the toes. So playing with, it's hard to actually spread the toes as you're doing this, but you can play. Knee can face forward, knee can turn in, if that helps. Change direction. Good, and then other side. Rolling those left toes, just feeling the difference. Again, and if it's challenging, maybe slow down. So we're not just shocking the toes. And then maybe keep the toes turned under, roll them a little bit this way, and then change direction. Roll over the little toes side, rolling to the big toe side. Good. And then come to stand. Okay, so I'm just gonna step, right toes are turned under, and I'm just gonna step the right foot back and just shift a little weight into it. And then shift forward. Curl the toes under the other way, so toenails on the floor. Shift a little weight back and shift forward. And again, toes under, so the toe pads on the floor and shift forward. Toenails on the floor, shift back, forward. One more time, shift back, forward, back, back, and forward. Other side. Left toes, turn under, just shift back, forward. Tops of the toes on the floor, shift back. Again, it's not as much by any means. And forward, and back, and forward, and shift, and forward, and turn the toes under again, toe pads on the floor, and forward, toenails on the floor, and forward. Goodness. And now just feel your feet. They might be very awake now. Okay. All right. So a little of what we did on the floor. So right knee up, right knee out. Again, pelvis is trying to stay somewhat neutral. Knee forward, knee across to the left. Center out to the side. Again, top of the femur is facing ceiling. Now turn the face of the femur to face forward as you pick the foot up. Bring the leg back behind the hips. Sacrum's definitely forward. Maybe even around and back. Maybe just touch the toes to the floor, just a tip and back. Lift the foot, front of the thigh forward. Pull the leg forward. Turn the top of the thigh to the ceiling, forward and down. Other leg, left knee up. Go across to the right and then out to the left. and across to the right and out to the left. And then turn that top face of the thigh forward as you pick the foot up. And then bring the leg back behind the hip. Keep the leg up as you go back. Sacrum moves forward. And then bring the leg back. Just touch down, brief moment. Touch, lift, forward, externally rotate all the way forward and down. Okay, now feet wide, toes out, heels in. So you can do this on the floor if you have a good sense of working with either your carpet or your wood. Knees bent, arms slightly forward. Again, let the knees follow the toes wherever they can, and straighten and bend and straighten and bend and slowly and straighten. This time I'm going to bend maybe a little less. Pivot on the ball of the left foot. So I'm picking the left heel up, turning the heel out, putting it down. Picking up the ball of the right foot, turning it out. Maybe it can still be turned in. You can keep it turned in. It's actually nice to try variations. Straighten the right leg, triangle. And come up, bend both knees, pivot, right foot in, left heel in, other side. I'm going to pick up that right heel, turn it. So the heel turns away as the knee turns in, right? Internally rotating that femur bone. Externally rotating left femur bone. Straightening the left leg, triangle pose. And coming up. Bend, turn left toes in a little, right heel in, lower, and lift. One more time, lower, and lift. Again, bend, same thing, triangle, smooth out those transitions, and come on up. Bend the knees, turn right toes in, left heel in, other side, right heel out, left toes out, straighten and triangle. And up, bend, left toes in, right heel in. Get lower and straighten. Again, bend. This time, lift that left heel and let's come to warrior two. So right toes turn out, left heel turns out. And just tip. Right hand down, right arm up. Right fingers down, right arm up. One more, right fingers down and right arm up. Reverse, pick up that left heel, pull it in. Right heel up, turn it out. Left fingertips down and up. And left fingertips down. Pull the feet towards each other to come up. As you come down, pull the feet together. And as you come up, pull the feet towards each other. Pick up that right heel. Whoops, keep that there. Pick up the right heel, turn it in. Lower and lift. One more, lower and lift. Okay, toes together, heels together, toes, toes, heels, feet together. Alrighty, so now we're gonna do a shorter, much shorter stance. Baby triangle, heels in, toes out. So just make sure you have room on the right side, room on the left side, Have a block handy if you want it. Bend and lower. Bend. Pick up that left heel. Turn the heel out. Good, ball of the foot, right ball of the foot, turn it out a little bit more. Straighten both legs. Triangle. Good, shifting to Ardha Chandrasana. So shift onto the right leg. Left leg up. Bend the right knee. Mini triangle. And come up. Pick up that right heel, turn it in. Again, small little goddess shape. Bend both knees and lift. Pick up that right heel, turn it out. Left ball of the foot, turn it out. Baby triangle. Bend the front knee, shift to Ardha Chandrasana. So left hand comes forward to the outside of the foot, maybe left hand in line with the little toe, and about 1.5 feet forward. Right leg up, right arm up, reach up, look up. Bend that left knee, little baby triangle. And come up. Pick up, actually, pick up the right heel, turn it in, bend, and straighten. Okay, so feet parallel, heels, toes, heels, toes. So let's just play with one little more fluid. So block handy if you'd like. And so maybe, I don't know if I have enough room, but maybe. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a small step forward with my right leg. Good, and fold over that right leg, left hand to the floor. And just coming up onto the left ball of the foot. Good, and then just play with, actually, let's go forward a little bit more. No, I'm gonna stay back here. So block by that right foot. And just a teeny tiny rotated triangle up on the ball of that left foot. Teeny tiny. And then shift back. And bend that right leg, shift that left block forward, and let's kick the left leg out. Rotated Ardha Chandrasana. And step back and come up. And step that left leg forward. Right toes back. Little teeny tiny pose. So right hand by the left foot, up on the ball of the foot. Teeny tiny rotated triangle. And then untwist. Shift the block forward. Pick up that right leg. And left arm to the ceiling. Rotated Ardha Chandrasana. Good, and back. And up. And just step that right foot forward. Ideally, we would keep going, but I'm out of room. So we're not going to do that today. But let's just play with block in the left hand, right foot forward, left hand down, Ardha Chandrasana, rotated Ardha Chandrasana. And then I'm going to step left foot forward, switch the block into the right hand, and do the other side. Pick up that right leg, turn the other direction to the left. And then left hand comes down, right foot comes down, switch. Block goes into the left hand, left leg back and up. Right arm up. One more if we have room. Right hand down. Left foot down. Swing that right leg. Nope. Left leg back and up. Nope. I got all confused. This is why doing right side, left side, or oppositional side is good, because you get to challenge your brain. Right leg up, left arm up. And down, fold over your legs. Bend your knees, round up. Okay, lift your chin, look up. Look forward. Drop your chin to your chest. Good, lift your eyes again, lift your face, look up. Lift your face, look down. Roll your head to the right. And back through center. And roll your head to the left. And center. Let's roll to the right and all the way around. And center. And then roll head to the left. All the way around. And back to the sternum. Head back up to center. Again, chin to chest. This time, let the shoulders round forward. I'm going to keep the legs straight for this one. So I can almost think about the spine moving up. So even though the head is curling forward and the tops of the shoulders are curling forward, the lower spine is pulling up. It's almost like a geyser that shoots straight up, and then gravity eventually pulls it down. It's not, I don't want to overwork. I just want to think about, can I get each segment to move almost separately than the segment above and below? Just creating an awareness. And fold all the way down. And let's fold all the way back up, straight legs. Again, tailbone drops. Top of the sacrum picks itself up, stacks on top of the rest of the sacrum. Lumbar spine rolls itself up, stacks itself on the sacrum. The thoracic spine, where the ribs are, rolls itself up. Right, awareness of the ribs. Right, they attach to the spine and wrap around the front. And then neck up and the head up. One more time, chin to chest, roll down. Again, finding the parts where it feels like a bunch of ribs are moving all at once, or a bunch of vertebrae are moving all at once. Just slow down. Even if it doesn't have a lot of clarity, and then walk the hands forward. Right, sometimes we can feel like, oh, that was a whole section, rather than a little section. That was a big section. Maybe that's the clarity that we have. Good. Just a nice clear stance in your hands and your feet. Nice expression through the arms and legs and spine. Good, knees to the floor. Good. And swing your legs around and come back onto your back. Okay, so blocks. Actually, I'm going to use the blanket for this one. So blanket on one end, or the lower end, foot side of the mat. box candy, and I'm gonna lay down with my sitting bones up on my blanket and lay back down. So we've done this before with the block already on, but I'm gonna have us roll up. So feet on the blanket, right? Feeling the shape of your back, right? And I always find this really interesting because I tend to, one of my patterns is that I default to kind of thrusting the ribs forward and engaging my back muscles first, right? Some people respond by pushing the ribs back and engaging the abdominals, or many variations in between. So when I lay on the floor, my back, if it's having a hard time settling, I know I've used my back muscles, I've over relied on them. It's just information. It's just noticing what you notice and sometimes putting the pieces together. Just, okay. So putting some weight in the feet, sending the knees towards the toes, right, which should help move the femurs almost out of the hip socket and pull the pelvis into a little posterior tilt. Maybe. And then put a little more weight in the feet, keep pulling the knees and thighs forward, roll up. Not high, but high enough to get one block under the pelvis. So ideally, I want one edge of the block up on the blanket, so the block's tipped. And then I'm just gonna adjust my body to the block so that my sacrum feels fully supported by the block. The top of the pelvis is tipped towards the ribs. The back muscles alongside the spine are able to settle. And the weight of the body is able to settle. And I'm not holding myself up, especially the parts that are off the floor. Okay. All right, just one. Let's take, well, let's actually go. Let's go up first. So you can stay here if you'd like on one block. If you want to add the second block, same feeling, right? Put some weight in your feet. Send the knees past the toes. Anchor the feet. And let the thighs pull the pelvis up. Good, maybe even lift the heels up just to make it a little more accessible. Keep pulling the thighs forward and up to lift the pelvis. Second block on top. Sacrum supported. Again, supported in a way that the top of the pelvis is tipped towards the ribs. Frontal hip bones tipped towards the ribs. The belly's nice and wide and quiet. Top of the sacrum tipped towards the back ribs. A little bit of an opening in the front hip. Front body. Front thigh, front hip. Good, let's take that right knee up towards the ceiling and extend the leg towards the ceiling. Good. And then I'm just gonna put my hands on my front hip and I'm gonna lower that right leg towards the floor. So I'm not gripping my pelvis, but I'm trying to keep my pelvis from following the leg. As that right leg lowers to the floor. So the tailbone is still where it was, right? It's still moving towards the bottom edge of the mat and curling up towards the ceiling, just that natural curve. And then right leg up to the ceiling. That feels good, and lower. Good, bend the leg, foot on the floor. Left knee to the ceiling, extend the left leg. Good, I'm noticing, just noticing there's now a little rotation on this side that wasn't on the other side. That's okay. My pelvis is turning. Left side of waist is shorter for me. Left leg lowers towards the floor. Again, I'm just trying to maintain the pelvis. Or allow that opening in the front hip to deepen without a lot of effort. And then lift and lower. Bend the left leg and foot on the floor. Good. Again, so I'm just going to hold the block with my hands, lift my ribs and scoot them away from the block. Just again, to turn off my upper back muscles. Let my weight drop back towards the floor. Maybe even kind of assist with my arms, or it's almost like trying to find the place where your body feels comfortable. Again, it's a whole body movement. So back and front body ideally work together. One doesn't overpower the other. Okay, right knee up, left knee up. Both legs up. Good. Left leg stays up, right leg towards the floor. Sitting bones still moving to the bottom of the mat, tailbone still curling up towards the pubis. And then right leg lifts and left leg lowers. Again, maybe even pull that left thigh closer to the floor, maybe. And left leg lifts. Legs out to the side, away from each other. And let's take that now, left leg forward as the right leg moves back. All right, a little more of a scissor kick or scissor-like feeling, and then take the legs out into a straddle. And then switch, right leg comes forward as the left leg moves back. Straddle. Keep the legs in a straddle, but bend the knees so the knees are wide. And again, with the knees bent, it just gives a little more softening to the pelvic floor, inner thighs, upper inner thighs. Right, when we straighten the legs, there's more of a load through the tissue. Here, there's less load. And then knees towards the center line. Again, maintaining that heaviness of the ribs as the toes come back to the floor and then the heels. Okay, walk the balls of the feet a little closer, lift the heels, press into the balls of the feet, send the knees to the toes, lift the sacrum, slide a block out, slowly, slowly roll the spine down. And use that posterior tilt just to lengthen the back body. And then again, maybe the heels stay down, maybe they lift, send the knees away from the face, lift the sacrum, slide the block out. Again, use that posterior tilt just to traction or lay that spine down with a little bit of compression just to help spread the tissue. Allowing the bones some space. Good. And then if you want, you can just roll up that blanket, straighten your legs when you're ready, and lay. And just feeling your body settle. Feeling the support of the floor. And just keep dropping back into that support. And just a gentle sense of nourishment from wherever you feel, wherever it feels like it's being called from, or whatever shows up. But sometimes unexpected things show up. The birds, the buds in the trees, the sunshine. Just the kindness of a good friend. The gentleness of a child. By turning to almost receive that. Looking for the sweetness and the softness, the kindness, the nourishment. And allow yourself to feel filled up. And whether it's filling up inside of you or around you. Welling up from deep within or permeating. Just feeling the fullness or expanse of it, the bigness of it. It's like the bigness of the Milky Way, or the bigness of the universe, or the multiverse, or the bigness of a tender heart. A little movement, fingers and toes, gently bending your legs. Rolling to your side. And coming up to sit. Right, that seat, physical placement, along with just a state of being, a seat in your mind, in your emotions, in your heart, in your relationships, in your life, in your creativity. And your connection to the beauty and expanse of life. And palms together in front of your heart. And in awe and gratitude of what your world, your inner world reveals to you. Om.